It's now 7 o'clock and we will call this meeting to order. Jackie, could you do the roll call, please?
Kristen Bailey.
Here.
Nick Elwood.
Here.
Steve Byers.
Here.
Jose Jerquez.
Here.
Christopher Boyce.
Here.
Mark Trevette.
Here.
Ante Bynum. And Maria Bella Rodriguez.
All right, now for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and then we'll move into public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. The first speaker is Micah Morton. Jackie, do we have any others?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and district directors. Thank you for all your hard work on behalf of our community. My name is Micah Morton. I live in downtown DeKalb. I work at NIU. My wife works at the new Mitchell Elementary School. Our son Aiden just started 6th grade at St. Mary's School in DeKalb. My comments are about St. Mary, and they're about the pending decision on the bus service the district has graciously provided for St. Mary families for over 45 years, my understanding. As a parent with a child who regularly rides and depends on the bus, I was concerned to learn this past summer the district is considering either charging families for the service or altogether canceling the bus service. It's my sincere hope an alternative to both these options can be found. Currently, 30 St. Mary's students rely on the bus service each day. As I noted earlier, the district has provided the service at no cost for over 45 years, and we're very gracious for that. 189 St. Mary's students live within the district boundaries. 125 of those families directly pay local property taxes. The rest of us pay this indirectly through our landlords. And of course, we all vote in local elections and contribute to the local tax base by patronizing local businesses, many of which are owned by St. Mary families. This summer, when we first learned of the plan to revise the bus service to either charge St. Mary's families or cancel it, we were told it was due to the withholding of federal funds for education. Since that time, however, those funds were released, and so we are now left wondering what is the underlying reason. There's a lot of uncertainty and lack of clarity about this. We sincerely hope alternatives can be found to either charging our families or canceling the service. As far as I know, our school leaders have been very open and willing to work with the district to find alternative solutions. We are hopeful an alternative can be found before January, when the proposed changes would go into effect. And last, since most families cannot be here tonight, I did send an email out to sort of query parents whose children ride the bus. And one comment I received from this early this morning around 7, probably before she left to work, and her kids were able to get on the bus when she was not home because she has to go to an early round as a nurse. She sent to me this following message, in quotes. My name is Jessica Skye. I have 2 daughters depend on the bus that go to St. Mary's. I am a single mother with no extra help. Their father's in jail, so when I say I have no extra help, I mean it financially and otherwise. I am a nurse who works full-time and goes to school part-time. It would be devastating to our family if we lost the bus service. I would have no other way of getting my children to the school they love so dearly. Please reconsider. Thank you. End of comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl Swinton?
Yes, similarly, my name is Carl Swinton. I live in DeKalb with my wife and kids. We've lived here since about 2015. And I'm here tonight also speaking about the bus service to St. Mary's. My wife and I are both very concerned about the decision to cut bus service or charge a fee for it. Our kids ride the bus every day, and it is also a lifeline for our family. Without it, we wouldn't be able to rely on the high school student neighbors that are taking care of our kids in the morning and afternoon, but they are not able to provide transportation. So this support helps my wife and I to be able to get to work on time and keep our home running. We understand budgets are tight and costs are going up, but asking families or the school to pay $1,500 a student, $45,000 a year for a short bus ride just doesn't seem right to us. It feels like we're being priced out of something that we already help pay for through our taxes and working and living in the community. My dad growing up was a bus driver. I understand how important the job is, not just getting kids to school, but also making sure families such as my own are able to make it work on a daily basis. I know the district is doing what it can, but I'm asking that they take another look at the decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. And then from public comment, we'll move into board correspondence. So I guess I'll start out. I got to, pop into a few of our schools last week. Things across the district seem to be going really, really well. Especially, this is my third go around now. I will say this has been the smoothest start to a school year since I've been on the board. Things are going pretty well across the district. Mitchell is launching pretty well for the most part. So honestly, I'm very happy. I got to go check out the playground last week at Mitchell. It's very nifty. Some of the stuff was a little more confusing than I even understood how to use, but the kids seemed to get along with it just fine. We had the FMBO challenge last week, which we raised about $46,000 between Sycamore and DeKalb for both of our sports programs. So just a wonderful thing that goes on. Look forward in January to the basketball game where we will get the, trophy back and everything and make sure that that's back in DeKalb where it belongs. In regards to just kind of going over St. Mary's busing just so that everyone has exactly kind of where we're at. So I know there was an allusion to federal funding. So what it is we received or used to receive a mileage reimbursement from the state of Illinois. So they were not federal funds, but those were state funds that we would receive, and we lost about $2 million minimum in mileage reimbursement that the state cut from us. Now, you guys will also see later in this, our insurance costs are going to go up about $6 to $7 million this next year as well for health insurance. So we as a board, because we are very committed to looking forward to doing an early learning development center for our district, has to start finding those pennies in every nook and cranny that we can to provide for our district the best that we can. So I just want to say that there's not some malicious intent to go after private schooling, at least for me. I am super Catholic. I'm the Grand Knight of our Knights of Columbus Council in DeKalb. We support St. Mary's a ton, and we love to do that. And it's not that we want to see St. Mary's harmed, but we have to make sure that we don't do things that operate to the detriment of our district as well in what we do. So that's kind of my quick piece.
I just wanted to add something on, with the family's permission. Tanji Smith, who was, I believe, a sub here and a teacher's assistant, and she ran for school board with us this spring, passed away last Saturday. So I just wanted to let people know, and I'm happy to share information if anybody wants details about her services and the meal train we've set up for the family and everything.
Does anyone else have anything? Okay, hearing nothing. Oh, yes, Steve.
I went to the FNBO challenge. It was a great time. Shout out to the Marching Barbs. They looked phenomenal. Everyone looked phenomenal, but definitely the Barbs. It was very cool.
Maria, did you have anything for us on student board
I
correspondence?
do. I just wanted to share a very fun project that the mini board is working on. I got in contact with the Genoa Kingston student board member, and DeKalb is planning to do a student exchange. So we're gonna take about 7 or 8 kids from our board, including me, and 7 or 8 kids from Genoa Kingston's mini board. And we're just gonna have them come to DeKalb for a day and see how it is, and we're gonna go to Genoa for a day and see how it is, and then we're just gonna come together and be like, what are some things that we like from Genoa's school that we might want to implement in DeKalb, and what are some things in DeKalb that you guys really liked and wanted to do? And a student exchange is something we're planning with more than just one school, and Genoa is the one school that I know that has a student board member. So I got in contact with him, and I got together and we have this planned out. So far, everything's pretty much planned, and we just need to work on who's gonna take us there. Yeah, but the mini board's really excited about that, and we have some kids really wanting to go to the next exchange and the next exchange and just see how everything works.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
All right, moving into the consent agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 5B through 5F, board minutes from 8/19, personnel action items, purchase order requisitions, MOU with 4C Agency, and gift donation from the DHS class of 1970. Does anyone have any questions about any consent agenda items before we vote?
Don't really have questions, but I do have a couple of comments. Start with the positive first. I'd like to thank the DeKalb High School class of 1970 for their gift. It's something that could have very easily been just disappeared in the consent agenda. I think it needs to be identified. That, yeah, there you go. That from a high school that hasn't had a class reunion since 10, you guys still do that and then even think enough to give a donation back to the school is awesome. I did not go to DeKalb High School. And the other thing, on the purchase order requisitions, I'd like to actually bring up to discussion a little later, not at this meeting, but that we possibly change, and anything over $50,000 is a separate agenda item. Because you look at the POs and you're seeing 6 figures go by that is just a line item on a big spreadsheet. That concerns me, because people should know where the money goes a little bit more transparently than just being in that. So, Amir, you're doing a great job of letting us know that. I just think that this should be a change that we should, if we're talking about transparency, just makes it a little more evident. We could talk about how that would be separated out later.
So I guess, so that we can just kind of real quick before we do the consent agenda, do we have a majority of the board that's interested in breaking up the purchase orders like that? Or would we prefer that we keep it as one? I just need to know so that we know the board actually wants it done that way.
I concur with JJ, so.
I just have to get consensus so that we can properly instruct admin on how we would like it done. So I've got 1, 2, 3. We have, okay, so that makes 4, so the board is in agreement that we will break that apart like that. All right. Not hearing anything else, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, Jackie, the roll call.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Jose Jaquez,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherlock,
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
All right, and on to presentations, we have Director of Facility and Safety Operations, Tammy Carson, to tell us about our summer projects.
Thank you. This is one of my favorite presentations of the year because I'm not coming here asking for money. I'm actually just wanting to kind of summarize what we did spend our money on this year and what we were able to accomplish. When I say we, that is the maintenance, grounds, custodians, our deliveries, our food trucks, our warehouse, as well as the contractors that we've hired over the summer to really focus on getting some things done. And all these projects are projects, well, I should say the large bid projects are what were approved by the board the earlier part of the year. And so we'll hit on some of those as well as some of the smaller projects that we're able to get done. So over 11 weeks, we actually had bid projects of over $4.5 million that were completed. Those are the ones I'll go over right now. We were able to do boiler replacements at Brooks and Founders. That, with these being completed, that leaves only the boiler at Huntley Middle School that still needs to be replaced. And we are looking at that as a potential project for either 26 or 27, depending on funding. So those are high efficiency boilers. There's 2 in each of the buildings to provide us a backup in case one were to go down. We, every year for the past several years, have been doing toilet room renovations. Lincoln was done this year, so these are the toilet rooms that were renovated. We've also been focusing on getting playground renovations done throughout our districts. Most of them have their original playgrounds. This year, we did finish the rest of Little John, and then we did replace all of Tyler. And Tyler used to be 1 playground, and we opted to put it into 2 playgrounds like we have at our other buildings. So there is a playground for the smaller and younger age students, and then a playground for the older students. It helps with playground management. One thing that we pursued this year was we do have some gymnasiums that still do not have air conditioning in them. And we have talked about, do we want to replace the units in those so that we do have air? but those units are not at the end of their life. So we don't typically replace rooftop units until we get to the point that they are end of life or giving us too much mechanical issues that it's not worth the funding of doing the repairs. So instead this year, we looked at another option, which were these large fans that were installed in the gymnasiums of Tyler, Brooks, and Founders. And they, from what I've heard, have already made a significant effect in those gyms to just get the air circulating and keep things at a little bit cooler temperatures. Founders, towards the end of the school year last year, we were identifying spaces that we were gonna be moving some special ed classes into in the Founders lower level. We already had one soul class there and we were moving a second. And we did have limited bathroom space in the lower level at Founders. So we did add 2 new toilet rooms that were not there before. So this gives us the opportunity to have access directly off of one of our soul classrooms and then off the hallway in the other, for the other to be able to utilize. We're always looking for ways to have more space to be able to house the staff at our buildings. And this year, we added, used to be a large workroom, break room in the Huntley Middle School office, has now two offices and a hallway have been broken out of there. I know one of the spaces is used for a dean. I'm not sure exactly what the other space is used for, but there's a second space there that's being utilized. Classroom doors, a lot of our classroom doors are the old wood doors that were original, and as you can imagine with wood doors, with the temperatures, they expand and contract and cause issues with opening and closing. So again, we've had making an effort over the last several years to take buildings and replace the classroom doors in those buildings. Malta was done this year, Little John was finished, and then there were some remaining ones from Founders that were completed. Little John had a ceiling and lighting project replacement many years ago, but there was one section of the building we weren't able to budget at that time, and that was the original section of the building, and because there was asbestos abatement, so it doubled the cost of the project. This year we decided to tackle that because of the lighting concerns. It was not good lighting for our students in those classrooms, so we replaced the lighting as well as the ceilings in those spaces. Huntley's classrooms had some flooring replaced. We had 4 classrooms and an office. Jefferson also had, with the move of the developmental communications class, we moved it into one of the rooms there. So we renovated one of the toilet rooms attached to that room, added some cubbies in there, and then also were able to add a sensory room to that space because it was a kind of a supersized classroom. The archive room at the Ed Center, we've been digitizing as many files and paperwork as we can, so that was able to be repurposed and is now serving as an area for cubicle space for some of the Ed Center staff. That's right next door here. The parking lot is replaced. We're still getting some last minute signage put up in it, but it is now safe to be able to walk through that parking lot and is now at this point right now maintenance free. Seal coating, we have a 3-year rotation on seal coating all of the parking lots in our district. This summer was Huntley, the high school, and Menta. Some concrete and asphalt improvements. These were the site improvements that were done at Jefferson Elementary at the front and then one of our side doors. The high school track resurfacing was done. It looks beautiful. It's all redone with black and orange. And then the Little John mobile classroom. So the mobile classroom at Little John, when it was installed, we didn't have a lot of opportunities for classrooms or mobiles that had bathrooms, toilet rooms in them. So it was a decision last year to remove that mobile and replace it with a brand new unit that we are leasing over there that has 2 classroom spaces as well as toilet facilities inside. Marquee signs, you may have noticed them around the district. Some are still getting up and running, but we have replaced some marquee signs at Brooks, Jefferson, Founders, and Lincoln. And that was partially through the teacher vacancy grant, partially for funding we had already planned to put out for operations and maintenance. We also have the one at Mitchell, and then the Education Center one is still coming. It was designed, had some errors, and so we had to ship it back to be re-renovated. And then, that's all of our bid projects of the $4.5 million, but then we had custodians that were in our buildings doing some deep cleaning. So I'm just gonna go through, and if you'll notice some of the shiny floors and organized and clean is hard to show when you're looking at buildings pictures, but that's what you're really seeing is a whole lot of work that went into these buildings. Those shiny floors don't last forever, so we try to get that picture right away. More deep cleaning, painting, a lot of painting that went on. And let's see, again, more painting projects and some other projects that the high school had taken on over the summer. We helped contribute to get those in place. Auditoriums, gymnasiums, had to showcase a lot of them. And then, of course, didn't have a lot of pictures, but we did have over 900 work orders that were done just in the 11 weeks of the summer. So that includes our maintenance staff, our ground staff, our delivery staff, and our painting staff. So 900 were done in a matter of just 11 weeks. And we started the school year and still have pending and on hold work orders that still are over 300. So it's ever evolving. We can have 5 to 30 added in one day. It just depends on the day. And then, just a little side note, of course, we also opened up Mitchell. A little bit of preparation, opening, and time went into that. So that I personally want to thank all of the staff on our team because their hard work and their commitment to this, we never could have been ready to open up the schools. A lot of delays happen with construction. We can't get in and clean spaces. We appreciate the patience of the teaching staff and administration at not being able to always get into buildings exactly when they want to. But by giving us that time, we're able to really have the buildings ready for our students to return.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this the first replacement of the track at the high school?
We had a resurfacing. This was the first replacement, yes.
Okay.
If you had to guess, what's the lifespan of the new parking lot outside?
That's a great question. Boy, I would say upwards of 20 years.
Okay.
I would say probably longer if we are able to continue to seal coat it
Right.
and do the repairs as needed with cracks and potholes. It just kind of depends on how, and the extreme winter conditions that we have. Salt does play a huge factor depending on how much salt we have to pour each year.
So we got the track redone at the high school. Now I know that the football field is the same turf football field that's been there since I was a student when it first opened.
In 2011, yes.
Yes, and my understanding is those football fields really typically have an expected lifespan of 7 to 10 years, so we're a little after that already. Do we know when that would be put back within the road? Because I know that's not a cheap project either.
Oh, no, it definitely is not. Probably upwards of $600,000 to $800,000 for a turf replacement. So every year we have a company that does upkeep and maintenance and cleaning and repairs for us. We have done that very regularly as well as our staff is trained to do that. When the company comes out, they are extremely impressed by the condition of our turf. We have been commended for how well we have maintained it, that they at this point are still looking at it and saying, you're probably two or more years out. It's one of those that each year we continue to keep an eye on and to make a decision if it's something we need to start budgeting or we need to start planning for the following year. But at this point, we're still holding strong. We're not gonna look to do it in 26. Ask me next year and I'll let you know if it's on the agenda for 27.
And just so that I don't forget, I'm going to concur with thanking everybody who's done such a terrific job over the summer and to get us started for the year. And normally, I know I always end up forgetting somebody, so while you're saying thank you, I'm going to say thank you too, so thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tammy. All right, into old business, DHS Student Council retreat overnight request. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the request for the DHS Student Council to attend the overnight retreat in Chicago, November 8th through the 9th, 2025. Do I have any questions before I go for a motion? All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Jackie, the roll call.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Mark Sherlock.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Elwood.
Yes.
All right, item B, KSL 2025 Social and Emotional Learning Exchange. It is recommended the Board of Education approve out-of-state travel to Minneapolis for Lisa Becker, Sarah Bates, Surrey Williams, Julie Stubblefield, and April Garner to attend and present at the KSL SEL Exchange in November of 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Jackie, the roll call.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Mark Sherlock.
Yes.
Kristen Bailey.
Yes.
Nick Elwood.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
All right, moving into new business, item A, benefits renewal rate proposal for 2026. This was promoted by Stacy Smith along with Doug and Adam from LP Insurance Services.
My big foot out.
I am Stacy Smith. I'm the benefits coordinator for the school district. Doug and Adam are our consultants with LP Insurance, and they're going to give the information about the insurance for 2026.
Thank you.
Microphone.
I'll try to talk really loud. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the insurance committee of the district. Their input has been very valuable, especially in a year like this where we've had some issues with the health plan and with our insurance industry, which I apologize for that, even though I'm part of that. But anyway, the insurance committee did a great job. You guys should commend them for their efforts. What I'd like to do, you guys have the slides, the PowerPoint presentation, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk first, because there's a lot more than just in those slides. So let's start with where we've been, where we're at, and what we could do in the future to help mitigate some of this issue. Because when I walked in, you could see the bottom line cost to insurance this year, and it's horrendous. We've never come to you guys with anything close to this. It's astounding. In fact, we've got several actuarial firms that looked at your plan, as well as the health.dekalbcounty.org to come up with trends for your specific area. And during the last 7 years, the trend for medical has been 7.2% increase, and the pharmacy has been 10.7%, and your plan's at 5.7%. You guys have done really, really well until this year. So that's where we've been. Let's talk about where we are currently. Insurance companies look at the loss ratio, and what that amounts to is the amount of premium paid in, the amount of claims paid out. So right now, for every dollar we pay in premium, they're paying $1.33 out in claims. Out of that, Blue Cross Blue Shield, like most carriers, they like to give us a renewal 90 days before the plan renews. We have got them now to where they do it 6 months in advance. So we started getting these numbers in August. And as soon as we saw what they were, like we do every year, we go out to bid. So we went to all the major carriers. We went to the school association plans for the state of Illinois, which Sycamore is part of one of those. And because we want to validate, is the renewal that you're being presented, is it legitimate based on the claims that we've incurred? And in fact, it is. We got a decline from Cigna, Aetna, and United Healthcare. They're the other two major ones that you have in the state here. And they all came in at over 42% rate increase. The rate increase for Blue Cross Blue Shield started off at 52% and wound up at 43.3. Subsequently, it's come down, and we're going to talk about how that occurred. But what I want you to learn first, or illustrate first, is why do we have a rate increase at all? So currently, right now, we have 77 plan members that have in excess of $50,000 worth of claims. We had 48 last year. Drug costs have gone up substantially. You probably see, if you watch any TV at all, every day there's commercials on about high-priced specialty drugs, and they're being prescribed right and left. GLP-1s, one of the top ones that you'll see for type 2 diabetes, and being prescribed off-label. High-dollar claimants. 75% of our high-dollar claimants are employees, 22% are spouse, and 4% are dependents. Oops, if I touch something, sorry. Out of our high-dollar claimants, we have 9 that have cancer, 14 have musculoskeletal, GI 8, another digestive 10, nervous 5, and all others 33, for a total of $7.9 million. So we pay about $17 million, and this year, so far, year to date, we're at 22 million, and that's why the plan's upside down. The other thing to consider is, where has the plan increased? So we look at it from 2 different factors. One, the number of high dollar claimants that we have, and those, remember, you can pawn some, I don't wanna say pawn up, but you have reinsurance to help take care of that cost. Blue Cross Blue Shield, after $200,000, they move some of those claims off books, okay? But because it's owned by Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's still their dollars. But that's one factor. The other thing is, what's the average everyday claims cost doing? Do we see more office visits, inpatient, outpatient? Those are all cost factors, and this year, every single one of those increased within the last 9 months. So this isn't a long-term thing, this has really, really come on strong. So out of that, inpatient stay actually dropped slightly from cost standpoint per inpatient stay, but our utilization went up 8.8%. Outpatient, we had a 46.10% increase in cost and 9.7% utilization increase. Physicians visits, 7.9%, cost increase 7.6 for our utilization. Pharmacy actually decreased a little bit per claim cost, but the utilization went up 2.3, and the problem is that all went up in those GLP-1 drugs we were talking about, and the high-cost specialty drugs. We're gonna have gene therapy. There's a lot of things that are coming down the pike that are gonna continue within the health insurance industry. The other part of this is the contractors, the physicians, the hospitals, they're trying to get more money out of the public plans and private plans because, I don't wanna get into politics, but the government, those government plans are not reimbursing the hospitals enough. They don't pay for those bills, so the hospitals have to make that up someplace, and especially in rural areas like this. Markets. Again, we went to Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, United Healthcare, Cigna, association trust plans such as the State of Illinois Health Benefit Plan, Illinois Schools Employee Benefit Consortium, which is where Sycamore is at. There is a clause called Blue on Blue. So if you move to one of these association plans, which again, we looked at, we would not be able to move and have the same network. And that was one of the things that was very valuable to the insurance committee. They truly wanted to, if possible, stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue doesn't compete on Blue. So that's why we went, and we also got quotes from Aetna and from United Healthcare, because those are the three networks that most of those state programs allow you to go into. The issue is, moving into those, they take our actual claims history for the last 36 months, but mostly the last 12 months. And so there was no viable option for less money this particular year than modifying the plan and staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that's what's being proposed. The reason I said the insurance committee is so valuable is they understand where the plan's at, and the unions, the committee said, what do we need to do? We understand that this is a big expense to the district. What can we do on our part without giving away the farm on their side, obviously, but what can they do? What can we do to help? And so they made the following recommendations, and that's what's in the plan that we're talking about today. The first is to eliminate the weight loss drugs for true weight loss. If you are on a GLP-1 due to diabetic or one of the FDA approved, you would obviously be able to stay on that. But just for true weight loss, they wanted that removed. Copays for pharmacy would increase $10 per script for mail order only. So it'd be 35, 45, 65 instead of 25, 35, 55. ER visits. We have 254 or 264 visits for ER. 29% of those are considered non-emergency. And when you consider that the plan's average cost to go through the ER is $5,100, we've got about $380,000 worth of potential savings. If you have a cold, you really shouldn't be going to the ER, and that's kind of what we found. So we've tracked that last year, and the committee didn't want to make a change, and this year they do. So we're trying, again, we're gonna double that to $300. We want people to really think and try to steer their coverage more, use the virtual visits or use the urgent care facilities. The other one is spousal coverage language. So under the Affordable Care Act, I think everybody's probably heard of ACA by now because it came out in 2009. It was basically set up for each employer to take care of their own employees. And the children can float between whichever plan that they wanted to. And so what the committee's recommended is that we offer a spousal language to the plan. If your spouse is offered coverage through their employer, they need to enroll in that plan. They can still be on this plan as secondary, but they would be on their spouse's plan. Okay? You want to go through the slides now? Any questions about what I just said? Sorry about that.
Real quick, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Mark.
Real quick, I know you have a lot of data that
Yes.
we're all hearing for the first time because we read through these slides. Is there any way the board can get a copy of the data that you are citing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get that to you. So let's talk about the spousal letter. Why would we consider that? Because when you look at about 29% of the high dollar claimants are spouses, we won't know until open enrollment, but the district is probably in the neighborhood of $700,000 to $1 million of savings, which offsets a lot moving forward. You know, it's one thing that we have a rate increase like this year, but we do not want to have one next year. Part of the other reason for the rate increase is our largest dollar claimant has approximately $600,000 worth of claims, and it's estimated that there'll be $1 million more before it's resolved. We have had 3 large deaths this year, but most of those ongoing, out of the high dollar claimants are ongoing. We've got 12 out of the very high that are still, or excuse me, 10 out of the high that are still moving forward for next year. For 26.
So I have a question, Stacy or Minerva, whichever one. Can we make our employees do that?
Yes, there's no law that says that you can't. There's a lot of school districts and a lot of employers that have the spousal language, absolutely. In fact, ACA, there's penalties if you don't provide care to your employees.
No, I'm saying, can we make so when Jamie was still working here, if her plan was better than mine, and I wanted to go have hers be the primary, you're saying that the district is saying, no, yours has to be the secondary?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Or
and
you
then
don't
we would fill in whatever the spouse's plan does not fill in. There's only one caveat to that, and that is if a plan will not coordinate benefits, then we wouldn't coordinate back. That would be the only drawback to that.
Do you have any sense of how many people that would actually impact? Are we just like spitballing with, am I making any sense? Like,
Yeah, we had Milliman look at it, an actuarial firm, and so we kind of took some guesses of what it is, but we will know during open enrollment this year.
okay.
Open enrollment in the past, we use business solvers, as you're all probably familiar with if you've enrolled in there. We're gonna do a dependent eligibility verification this year instead of a passive enrollment. So we'll get the birth certificates and make sure that we're covering who we need to be covering. That's really what the goal of this is. And at that time, we'll be able to come back end of January. When open enrollment's all done, we'll be able to tell the board exactly what that looks like. And then if there's exceptions to be made, that comes back to the board and we talk about, individual exceptions. So the increase that you see on the slides, it's actually 1% less than that. And the reason that it's 1% less is because, remember, we have the dental along with the medical with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so there's an additional 1% that's gonna come off those rates. So the numbers that you've seen actually take 1% off that. But we need to get it approved and all that good stuff before we can give the final numbers for that, but they will be coming down. Also in the packet, you're only finding medical. The reason being is the dental, vision, and all the voluntary benefits, there is no rate increase this year, period. Thank you.
So, real quick, I know that the healthcare marketplace, there was a filing that they have to do every year, and 28% is what everybody else. I'm on Healthcare Marketplace myself.
Yep.
And 28% seems to be the figure throughout the state of Illinois, at least through Blue Cross Blue Shield. So why is the district, is it because of the extra claims that we are impacted by the 38.9% increase? Just
That's
because we've
exactly-
had more claims than we should?
That's exactly
That-
right. Yes, even though we're in Blue Cross Blue Shield, you're in a pool of like industry, we're still that much higher than their normal pool. And that's why. Again, we had 48 claimants over $50,000 last year, and we've got 77 this year.
So
So it's the claims, it's no more than that.
what will, because I saw that self-funding was an option that's on there.
Yes.
Now, is that self-funding and the same idea as if I don't get homeowners insurance, I'm just self-insuring? Is that kind of like, we're not gonna have insurance and we're just gonna pay it out of our pocket when people make claims? Or what does self-funding, I guess, mean?
Okay, so I think the better term that we could have wrote down is partial self-funding. So what happens is a group your size, 800 employees or so, you would take risk on, let's say, the first $150,000 per belly button on the plan. And then anything under that, we fund through a claims account. Hire a third-party administrator. We do everything just like you would do now. In fact, you rent an Anthem or a Blue Cross Blue Shield network, provider network. And then that $150,000, let's say, that's called your specific, okay? Again, we funded that. Then, we couldn't afford, God forbid, if everybody in the district was hit by a Mack truck, there'd be 150 times, 1,500 belly buttons wouldn't work. So there's an aggregate, think of it as an umbrella. So that gives us our maximum exposure. Sycamore's in that same kind of an arrangement with the self-funded plan. You can design your benefits the way you want to. Why do groups do that? Because it's called an ERISA, even though school districts are kind of a no man's, we're not governmental and we're not, but you don't have to follow state mandated benefits. So if there was particular something you didn't want to cover, bariatric surgery or one of those types of things, you don't have to do that. But when we took all of our claims data and we gave it to Milliman, the actuaries that we use, self-funding would have cost us a lot more money this year, period. So I would let Blue Cross Blue Shield manage this. Now, what's Blue Cross Blue Shield done to help us? Because that's one of my questions. What are you doing? I mean, we're writing a big check. What else are you doing? So they're enhancing their case management protocols. So when we get a large dollar claim, they're getting involved even sooner than they did before to help try to mitigate some of that cost. They're also doing a better job, they're stating, with their contracting with their providers locally, which is what we need them to do.
So, our mere bottom line, what is this, because obviously this is gonna cost us a lot of money. What is this gonna cost our boots on the ground employees that now are gonna get hit with increased premiums, higher deductibles? What are we looking at for our employees?
Is that something you guys could share with us, or is that numbers that he has? I just wanna make sure. So we're talking about, what is it gonna cost our employees at the end of the day?
So we had that conversation at the insurance committee. Individual, a lot of the bargaining units have in their contract 100% individual. And that's pretty much what, for the most part, it seems like the union is saying, well, individually, we have 100% coverage, so it doesn't affect our individual program. However, dependent and family, they are looking maybe, I don't want to quote numbers, but we are looking at lower paycheck coming January.
I guess my biggest concern is a lot of our assistants in the district, because we gave them a very nice raise this last year. But my understanding of the situation is that raise also meant they now made too much money for state benefits, which means that they're no longer receiving, Medicare or Medicaid from the state of Illinois, because they receive that now in income from the district, they can afford to have their own plan. But now they lost that, and I'm just worried, are we gonna wipe out that entire raise with health insurance costs now every month?
Same idea, the individual, the individual member itself will have the coverage from 96.5 to 100% covered. And then maybe the spousal that they are talking about, creating the primary and secondary, will help mitigate it, I guess. But yes, that is a concern.
So the total cost to our budget, because I know we're gonna be passing the budget soon, what is this gonna hit the taxpayers? What dollar amount? What do we have to take out of the budget now to pay for this?
Correct. So I do believe we'll be in the red because we have only about $1 million room. Because this is only 6 months of the, for this current budget year, the plan actually starts in January. So
Right.
we're looking if the increase is about 6.9 million, we're looking about half of that.
Okay.
It is a big hit. So.
Don't walk away, Amir. So one of the things that we talked about as a possibility was finding a middle ground from the low and the high. And with that, so that there might be an increase for our staff, but it wouldn't be a high increase, but it would help us to reduce some of our costs. Is there a middle ground that would kind of not go one way or the other and hurt, our newly well-paid folks, and would also not become an issue for our families?
So, well, if I can touch on and then I'll have Doug talk about it. But yeah, moving forward, seeing that a shock happened with these rates, we are going to be looking at how the plans, what will our union groups willing to help the district, what will be their kind of point of meeting us in between. Moving forward, we'll be looking at how the plans will be changed, what can we mitigate. There's also talk that in 6 months, let's see how our claims are looking at, and maybe we can look at a reevaluating our current contract with Blue Cross. So, but I'll have Doc.
So just to be clear on what Amir said, is that the request is that the conversation happened way before it's happening now, to see what the trends look like. That there is education that needs to happen with our staff so that they understand that they can mitigate the high rise of these costs if they use the plan appropriately, right? And where possible, that we do make some adjustments to the plans that we currently have to support both, so neither one side or the other is overly
Burdened.
Exactly. So that's a conversation we had at our table, and I wanted to make sure that it gets clear here, because I know that, our board may not understand all of the ramifications of everything that happens and be able to get to this point. And also for us to mitigate some of these things and not wait until it's too late to really take a look at other options that might support us a little bit better and be more cost efficient for us as well.
Oh, I'm agreeing with you. The insurance committee did look at other alternatives. Their main concern was that they didn't want to materially change the HMO plan. Because it is a lower cost item, as we talked about before. So if you're on the PPO, and this is a budget or an item that really does hurt financially, you can move to the HMO. They were afraid that if we increased deductibles, added co-pays and those things to the HMO plan, that we would kind of leave people in a no man's position of what do we do? And so that's why. And that savings was approximately 35% rate increase still. So they want their members to be able to move to the HMO plan and still have the care that they want.
So just again, I want to reiterate, we're looking at a difference between no longer a low and a high,
Right,
right? But something middle ground
right.
that is supportive of everyone. Okay, I just wanna make sure that it's
Yeah,
clear.
no, I'm just explaining why
Yeah.
this is the option this
Okay.
particular year is just because of that.
And to your point, one of the other things that came up during the insurance committee meetings where they asked Doug and I to come out and do actual presentations to run through the plan savings, so we can think long-term and how to bring it down.
So we're gonna be meeting with each union. Yeah, you bet, and each group.
Okay.
So I had a couple questions, and I guess that would be for you, Amir. You had talked about that premium might be affected like 95 or something to 100% it'd be covered, but, right? But for some people it might be. Is that something that would be applied unilaterally, or would that be different based on the pay band that people fall into?
Yeah, so written in the contract is not by pay bands. It is just individual. So if it is an individual premium, a lot of contracts have their own written, whatever negotiated with. So some contracts have 100% HMO individual. Others do not. Others might have 90 or 96.5. But individually, we don't have anyone from, correct me if I'm wrong, but non-union groups for individual premiums are below 90.
Okay.
So that's correct.
Yeah, and the one group, the DFSA group.
You need to,
DFSA in their new contract, one thing that they did do is we are now paying 100% for the individual for the PPO high or the HMO. So if they were doing PPO low, they can move to the PPO high, they won't have anything taken out of their paycheck. They could take that money and put it in HSA and health savings and use that for the increased deductible, but they won't have the money taken out of their paycheck.
so again, we talked about educating our staff. Is that something that, I mean, I know that that's gotta be a big part of what it is. If we can see that the staff understands, that's everybody. Family, staff, family as well, that we're understanding and we're using it appropriately, we would mitigate some of the numbers. And can we make sure that you guys are watching that for us? That where we see that we're still not making movement, that maybe we can do something to kind of offset that. So that we can then begin to have conversations that are really data-driven, based on money and visits and all of those other things that are really costing us more money. So you guys will keep track of that.
Yes, and that's
Okay.
also part of, on the platform when they go in, because we said it's not gonna be passive enrollment. When they go in, business owners are gonna be able to know, they'll find out all about the FSAs. Besides what we do, they'll be able to see it right in front of them. So you bet.
Is most of the penalties coming from people that are like into the catastrophic
Said 9
type levels, or is it
Claims,
just,
you
yeah? Or is it kind of the, I mean, cause you listen to people in their insurance and they're real happy when they hit their max out of pocket. And that's when they go get their knee surgery or whatever else like that. And that's gonna be part of the problem, but the big hit of the penalty that we're paying, lack of a better term, penalty we're paying, is it from the people that, it's not the people that just have an extra surgery,
No,
you know, at the max out of pocket. It's the people who literally catastrophic things have happened to their health and their,
right.
okay.
Yeah, no, it truly is. The two that we had passed, again, there were $1 million between the two of them in claims this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what Minerva had asked was actually part of my second question was, and I'm not sure like who is responsible for that education that happens, but also wellness programs and things like that, like what can we do? I know this is tangential to what you're talking about, but it seems like investing resources in you know, programs that are driven by this data, how do we help make
Right.
sure we're supporting health?
Right, we can provide all of those data. We just received that from Blue Cross Blue Shield as well, as how many are getting all their testing done? How many are taking advantage? And, you know, for diabetes, how many are following through on all those kinds of things? And then I know that there's newsletters, there's communications that we do kind of send out that we've
That
got-
comes from you all,
We've got to do more from the district and us, yes.
or who does that? That would be you, okay.
She's our go-to.
She does a great job, by the
She
way,
does.
just so you know. She's very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you talked to any other local districts to see if they've had similar increases? Because everybody probably is getting this data right now at the same time. Like, for example, do we know if Sycamore is seeing this? Do we know if Sandwich is seeing this, St. Charles or whatever? The same bump upwards that we're seeing?
What we found is that if you take the last 4 years, pretty much everybody's had a bump during that time period.
Sure.
We didn't. And so I just, again, a lot has to do with HIPAA. They don't disclose exactly what they used to us. But it seems like we had a lot of people that put things off during COVID, and now they've just got it done. Knees and hips and things that just a lot.
Well, I know Blue Cross is probably not gonna tell you, but talking to other
Yeah,
districts.
that's what I'm saying,
that's right.
talking to other districts, that's kind of where it's been, is they've had higher rate increases during that time period, or they've had a
Right.
spike.
Alright.
And that's when I gave you the trend in the very beginning, to kind of know where everybody's at in the area. So,
So we talked about sort of trying to meet in the middle, and one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about is like, if we actually would go forward with a spousal carve-out and require our employees to go on what, in all likelihood, it's probably not as good of insurance if it's coming from the private sector versus what they're getting here. Is there a way to, increase deductibles maybe with like the HMO plan and offset that cost? Because I mean, if it would be $700,000 or $1 million, like, can we do something like increase the deductible and keep people on what is a plan that probably pays more on the back end as far as, their coverage beyond that deductible? Like, have we looked at what those numbers would look like?
we wouldn't know that again until we get an actual enrollment count and know how many people it truly affects, but there's employers that charge them 150% if they stay on if their spouse has offered other coverage. So again, until we go through open enrollment, kind of see who, what, when, and where, that's really where we need to be.
And I know from some initial discussions, in the past, we've driven people to the HMO plan because it saves the district a lot of money. And if we start changing the HMO plan, people are gonna move out of the plan. So that's one thing we're keeping in mind as well.
Right, and then that, that being, is it still a better plan versus, I mean, that depends on the individual, I guess, versus what they get on the private sector, but like generally, is that HMO plan good enough that even if we increase the deductible, it's still in a cost benefit analysis gonna be better for our employee and their family, so to speak?
That was the comment that the unions were making, and they're like, you know what, I don't wanna do a $500 deductible on the HMO, because then our group's gonna wanna stay with the more expensive plan. But those are good, great questions.
Not to belabor this any further, but I just wanna make sure that it's clear. Will Blue Cross drop us if at any point that we don't make some improvements in the way that we use this?
No, they're gonna pass rate increases on, but
Okay.
we're gonna make sure that that does not happen and that you have alternatives, just like we've done in the past.
Okay.
So no.
Thank
This year, again, is just an anomaly, and the things that the committee's come up with, I truly believe this is gonna be a one-time. We're not gonna see this. We don't want them to come back, what I would classify as an insurance company buying the business for a year and giving us a 25% rate increase, and then come back next year with a 40% rate increase. That's just,
If the education and the more efficient use of the insurance by the members actually creates a better condition, is there a possibility that it goes down?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what happened in 2019. You bet. When we got here, that rate was driven down substantially. We had 8-9% rate increases, and then boom, we got a bunch of it back. So yes, that could happen.
Let's do that next year.
No gosh. Yeah, this has not been a fun month and a half, believe me. Not at all.
All right, does anyone have any other questions? Hearing no other questions, do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys. Moving on to item B, NCTE Professional Development Conference Request. This will be presented to us by Sarah Montgomery, Kelly Hamilton.
Doctor
Uh,
Hamilton.
I'd say Mrs. Dr. Hamilton.
Thank you so much. This presentation will be a little bit more upbeat, more uplifting, and will be funded by grants. Yay! So I will turn the mic over to Dr. Hamilton and Ms. Harrison. They're going to talk about the NCTE conference that they would like to attend to. We would like to propose up to 3 people to go. Jen Miller would be the 3rd person, but it will depend on the cost of everything. Take it away. Here's the information if you need it, since that has insurance.
Well, I'm just gonna talk about why Jen Harrison and I wanted to go. We are honored to be accepted to give a poster presentation at this big national conference. Our presentation is about how Jen, specifically, because I'm just the sidekick in this one, how Jen was harnessing AI, and specifically formative, which the district supports, to help edit, revise, give feedback to her students in their writing. So in real time. So it was faster, efficient feedback, and then she could actually spend her time focusing on specific students with specific needs, and then the quicker feedback, like capitalizing, using 5 sentences, the little things that would take her time to work with, the AI could do that for her. So we are gonna present, or hope to be able to present that to our colleagues in NCTE. But more importantly, Jen's gonna talk about what she brought back from going to this conference before and why she really thinks that's a benefit to teachers to be able to get.
And actually, this presentation was one of the things that I brought back. I attended a workshop session where they were really utilizing AI, which is, as an older teacher, I was not very comfortable with. So I got to get my feet wet with that, and then I came back and I worked with Dr. Hamilton in my classroom, became very comfortable with it. I've talked to other people about it. We set up our presentation. Aside from that, which is super awesome, I also went to other workshops that gave me new strategies to use for poetry. I'm working with nonfiction in the classroom. I got to meet several authors and hear even Ketanji Brown Jackson speak at the conference. But my favorite part was meeting Jewel Parker Rhodes in the hotel. And we talked, we exchanged email addresses. I went back and emailed her, like she said. My kids were sent a box of books that they were all super excited to read. We took pictures, sent them back to her, we corresponded. My kids were just over the moon about, they know an author, they talked to an author, and that they were all reading her books. She even sent books in Spanish, so my Spanish speakers could read them in their native language. So it was really amazing. And we would like to represent the district in the conference next year and hopefully inspire other people to use AI and formative in the classroom.
She's so excited.
I know.
I'm excited just watching how excited she is about that. Thank you so much for that.
Any questions?
So your budget is up to $5,000.
Correct.
Is there a way that in between now and next board meeting, we can get a better breakdown of how much stuff is gonna cost?
Maybe not. It's going to depend on some of the hotel and reservations, and we're not going to book that until you give us the approval. So, no, we can say this is how much, but no, if we can't afford 3, then Jen will not go as a participant, not as a. Oh, Miller.
The other Jen was like, she didn't do it.
I went to burst her bubble.
You're the presenter. You have to go.
So no, we won't know those costs, and we won't start spending the exorbitant amount of time of booking and doing all of that until we get the stamp of approval.
And we would share hotel and meals and. Wow.
She's offering to cut her sandwiches in half, share a water bottle,
College spring break, yeah.
eat peppermints.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, item C, intergovernmental agreement, DeKalb County Health Department / alternate to suspension program, presented to us by Assistant Principal Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. We are hoping to continue our partnership with the DeKalb County Health Department to provide an alternative to suspension for our students who are caught with tobacco products or who are vaping at school. And what that looks like is the DeKalb County Health Department has 3 specific programs that they use, just various iterations of those programs to actually teach our students about the dangers of tobacco and drug use. So rather than just suspending a student for their tobacco use or their drug use and just saying, hey, come back tomorrow, we're actually hoping to give them some education related to those risks. And so what we're looking to do is have the DeKalb County Health Department come to DHS hopefully twice a month, or usually it's gonna be on a half day or PLC days. And they're gonna be providing about 3 hours of education to any student who finds themselves in that situation. So we're hoping to get your blessing, answer any questions on that.
Do we have any questions?
Is this in our budget?
Oh, I don't think there is. Thank you. There's
I just
no
wanted to
fiscal
beat that
impact.
to it, that's all.
I should have led with that. I'll know for next time.
Do we
Any
have
questions?
consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And item D, which is info and action, administrator and teacher salary benefits report for 24-25. This will be presented by Dr. Garcia Sanchez.
Good evening, my turn. So yearly, ISB requires that each school district report the base salary and benefits of all of its administrators and teachers employed by the district. This is a time of year, and this is a report of which we need to send forward. It's basically salary information of everything a teacher or a person is paid for throughout the year. So it could be anything from extra duties that are performed, including their salary, as well as benefits such as any sick days or vacation days. So every year we have to do this, and this is our report that we'd like to be able to send over to the state. So we need information action because it's due.
Couple questions I have. I think this is a good thing to have out to the public, so I encourage the public to look at this. Under FTE, usually you see 1.0. I see a few employees that are 0.99. Can I get an explanation on what an employee that is 0.99 a full-time?
I'm gonna have someone from HR actually answer that question for you.
There's some that are 0.91.
Because I can give you a very general answer, but I think.
No, I actually have a specific answer.
Yeah.
So when we look at their FTE, these teachers are full-time teachers, they
Sure.
would be a 1.0.
Right.
Teachers are given, base teachers are given 15 sick days and 4 personal days a year, and they build up that time. When you run out of sick and personal days, because we pay them on a contract, we've calculated in that they're working those 180 days, they are docked. Some of those people that you're seeing 0.99
Right.
used all their personal days at the beginning of the year, and then later in the year decided to, a child had a graduation ceremony or something going on, and they took a dock day. So it actually.
A 0 day. So
They took a 0 day,
Right.
we actually subtract their daily rate from the check. So those people, when it added it up, they don't get credit for 180 days, they maybe got credit for 175 days or 178 days.
Right.
Because it wasn't a sick or a personal day, it was a dock day. So that's why you'll see a few of those at the 0.99 or the 0.98
Would
for
that
that.
be like an unpaid leave of absence too?
It's just, most of them are 1 or 2 days. Some of them could be people that did, not qualify for FMLA or took a non-medical leave of absence for an extended period of time. That could work into it too, where they had extra days that weren't paid.
You mentioned 15 sick days. I see some that are like 25 on here. Is that under the old plan?
No, it's 15 sick days for our brand new teachers.
Right.
Then after you have years of service, you can earn up to 25 days a
Gotcha.
year. But it's in their contract that after a certain amount of years, they can get it's their seniority, they can get extra days each year.
One final question. Retirement enhancements, that seems like a generality. What is that figure composed of? Retirement enhancements, the second to last column.
I didn't prepare this.
Oh,
Let me see if I can, I didn't prepare this one.
6%.
I think that is, no, because everybody's got it. I believe that's probably the fact that the district pays, I think part of it is the district pays into TRS, so that's
Okay.
part of the retirement.
Remember, the document that is set up here is actually copied from what is required from the code, so that's probably why. So it's inclusive of that if we indeed pay that out. But that's not something we normally pay out.
Right.
very
It just seems like a
consistently.
general, I'm like, what could that be? So
Sure.
someone asked me that question, I'm like, I don't know.
Any other questions?
This is for all employees in the district?
Teachers and administrators. The certified administrators.
right, any other questions? Hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Jackie, roll call.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Mark Sherlock,
Yes.
Kristen Bailey,
Yes.
Nick Atwood,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Jose Jaquez.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
take us away with the superintendent's report.
I guess everybody's lucked out today because I don't have a report. The only thing I do want to say is thank you to everybody for the great work that I've seen as I've been walking the buildings. I will continue to walk buildings. Just like Chris said, there are great things happening all over the place. So I'll be out there the next day or so, and then all of next week. Thank you.
All right,
Back to you, sir.
all those in favor of adjourning?
So moved. Yes.
Oh, yes, do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Amazing.
Thank you.